small business supporters, Savvy here. Right now, I'm filming from a different angle in my office, so let me know if you guys like this setup. If you don't like it, it's a little bit different, but this was more convenient for me to film in right now. So just let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. I know it's different seeing this behind me, but I guess this is what you see in live streams like I have every Wednesday on my channel. Don't forget to join my Wednesday night AuthorTube sleepover live stream. Anyway, getting off track, some of you guys may recognize the month of May as Mental Health Month. At least I think of it that way because, as many of you know from some of the videos I've made on my channel, I'm a person who has struggled with mental health issues throughout my life, particularly with OCD and anxiety, and OCD is a subset of anxiety, so those kind of go together. As you guys know, I am a huge fan of the OwnVoices movement within literature, the idea that people who have experienced certain things, especially things relating to culture or gender or sexuality or mental health or those kind of things, can write a book from their own experiences to kind of explore those nuances in a way that someone who hasn't experienced those things might not be able to. Quick disclaimer, that's not me saying that you shouldn't write from a perspective that you don't know. If you research properly, it can absolutely be done well. I'm just saying that I also like that there's this OwnVoices movement to amplify those voices out there. I think that's awesome. So that's why in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Mental Health Month, how I am releasing a novel this month, and how I used my own experiences as a person who has struggled with mental illness to put this novel out into the world as we begin our 2-week countdown to the release of my new novel, One Final Vinyl. Savvy here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. Please don't forget to subscribe. Multiple times a week, I put out new videos about books, writing, and my life as a small business owner. Often that means we have a lot of fun on this channel, roasting multi-level marketing companies, scammers, and people who try to exploit small businesses and that kind of thing. Because as a creative person, as an author, I am a small business owner. That said, a quick plug for my own small business since I don't have a sponsor for my videos. Please check out foreverhomefriends.com, linked in the description below. That is my small business of picture books and stuffed animals, all based on the stories of real rescue dogs. We give 10% of our profits to local animal shelters, so if you guys get something from there for someone in your life, then you'll also be helping out some dogs in need. It's a good time. But outside of running that small business, I also write young adult novels and new adult novels and those kind of things, which is why today we're going to be talking about my young adult novel, One Final Vinyl, its connections with my history with mental illness and why I'm choosing to release it this month, how it's an OwnVoices book, all of those kind of things. So if you guys are seeing right now, I'm wearing my One Final Vinyl sweatshirt. I made some merch for this, which I've also linked in the description below. You can check it out. It's on my website, savvylizer.bigcartel.com, and that is also where you can get a signed paperback. Obviously, the paperback will not have this little not for resale band across it. That's just because this is a proof, which is not for resale. But when you get a paperback, it won't have this across it. But you can order a signed paperback there, or if you'd like an ebook, you can pre-order an ebook on Amazon. All of it's linked in the description below. So my novel, One Final Vinyl, is a story I've been working on for actually like over 4 years now. I finished the first draft of this book in like the beginning to middle of 2016. So this has been a long time in the making, which is why I'm really, really excited to get this book out into the world. One teenage girl, one 90-year-old woman, one final road trip together before the next chapter of their lives. At 18 years old, Emma Pelican is pretty sure she's already experiencing a midlife crisis. She spent the summer after her senior year listening to her depressing vinyl record collection and isolating herself from her friends. So it's not much of a surprise when no one shows up to the graduation party Emma throws the night before leaving for college. No one but Daisy Lycroft, a 90-year-old stranger with mild Alzheimer's who escaped from her retirement home in the middle of the night. When Emma leaves to drive Daisy home, the two end up on an unexpected all-night road trip, revealing that they have a closer connection than they ever could have expected. So this is about cross-generational friendship and the way that people from very different backgrounds and even very different time periods can come together through a shared love not only of music but also of mental illness and struggles and emotions that we all share. I include an author's note because I wanted to make it very clear about the types of mental illness that I wanted to portray in this book, and also just kind of make it clear that what I'm portraying in this book is not everyone's experience, and I'm not trying to, be a spokesperson for the entire experience of having anxiety or of having depression or of anything like that, because everyone experiences these things differently, and even in this book, I didn't delve that deeply into what it means to have OCD. That's actually something I'm planning to do for a future novel that I'm kind of working in the planning stages on and haven't talked much about publicly yet, so stay tuned for stuff on that. In this book, I very lightly touch on the concept of OCD, but don't delve that deeply into it. Emma has something more related to like generalized anxiety disorder or something like that, which I do go more deeply into, and also do draw on my own experiences of that kind of thing. I think a lot of the time when we think of having anxiety, we think of, being nervous for something, being afraid, having a panic attack, those kind of things. And I definitely do portray these things in that book. There are scenes where Emma is having a panic attack. There are scenes where she is panicking and nervous and that kind of thing. But I think there's an entire other element to anxiety that goes beyond that, that maybe not everyone experiences, but that I've definitely experienced, which is this constant fear of, this is so abstract, this is gonna sound so like fake deep, I don't even know how to say this, just this fear that like your life isn't gonna amount to anything, or that everything is useless. I don't know if that's like, existential trauma or nihilism or something, but the whole idea that like, one day life will end, and there's a huge fear of the unknown for after death and what that means. And that's why I really thought it was interesting to explore this idea of taking an 18-year-old who's about to enter what a lot of people might consider like the first big stage of your life, ending high school, going off to college, getting ready to look into a career path, pursue that kind of thing, and say, okay, I'm moving ahead into the future. I'm filled with anxiety because I don't know what's coming next. There's a fear of the unknown, but I'm also having this huge fear that my life is meaningless and that, life is going to end one day and nothing useful is ever going to go out into the world because I didn't ever do anything interesting, because I played it too safe, because what is even the point of anything, that kind of thing. Meanwhile, she's going through this along with someone who's 90, who already has lived her whole life and has lived a life that, in a lot of cases is very average, is very normal. She never did anything like groundbreaking or huge, but she had a brief career, got married, had kids, did a lot of the typical things we associate with adulthood, and is now nearing kind of the end of her life. And so she's at a completely different stage, while Emma's beginning like the beginning of adulthood. Daisy's nearing the end of adulthood and is dealing with her own mental illness in the form of dementia. So it's kind of how that connects to each other. And I have never had, dementia or Alzheimer's, obviously, but I have known a lot of people who have. And so I try to portray that experience from the perspective of being a young person, being along with someone who's much older who's dealing with that and not knowing exactly how to react to it, but still, wanting to form a legitimate friendship with that person. You're not there to patronize them or take care of them or anything like that. Emma is, seeking actual companionship. She's seeking a real connection with another person. So that's what this book is all about. I know that sounded very vague, but I definitely drew on a lot of my own experiences, and writing this was incredibly therapeutic, I guess, in the time that I wrote it, because when I wrote this, like right after I finished college was when I started writing the first draft of this, when I was at a point where it's like, all right, I'm moving forward in my life. It's time to start going out there and establishing my career as a writer and getting out there in the world. And this was also the point where I started actually seeking medication for my OCD, when I started seeking going to therapy. And I started realizing that there was hope out there for, if you're struggling with mental illness, there's hope out there. There are things you can do to take control of your life and that kind of thing. And I was finally starting to experience that and starting to see that bright future that was possible. And so I needed somewhere to put these feelings, these like stream of consciousness rambling feelings that were going through my head of like, the constant cycle of thoughts, the spiral of thoughts that just seems like it never ends. I needed to portray that in some way. So creating Emma as a character was really interesting for me, and what I thought was fun about it, not fun, but I guess fun, yeah. What was fun was seeing which parts were similar to me, but also making her different. Like, she's not even remotely similar to a self-insert or anything. I made Emma a very introverted person. I made her, you know, someone who doesn't share feelings very openly. I'm the opposite. I share my feelings left and right. I'm constantly like chomping at the bit to tell everyone how I feel. But I do experience a lot of the same mental health issues that she does experience. So, you know, mental health issues don't discriminate. It's not an introvert or extrovert thing. It's not a male or female thing. It's everybody. Everybody can experience these things. So having her have some of those same experiences that I have from an OwnVoices perspective, but also approaching them from a different type of personality was really interesting for me, especially because then we have someone like Emma's friend Jen, who is, you know, much more similar to me in personality, right? Jen's like very extroverted. She's always wanting to hang out with friends. She never shuts up. She just talks nonstop. But Jen is not dealing with the same type of mental illness that Emma is, so having that contrast was interesting because I also felt like I got to pick apart different parts of myself and what I personally was dealing with and have them almost in conversation with one another. I hope that makes sense and doesn't sound too much like I'm being like a writer hipster right now. Anyway, that's some of the background on how the story One Final Vinyl came to be. I have linked another video up in the cards that I did about a year ago for Mental Health Month when I was still working on, you know, the final revisions to this novel and all of that. I told the story of what first inspired, like, the plot of this novel. Like, in this video I was talking about how the character arcs and the characters' mental illnesses and that were inspired by my own experiences. But also the plot of this story was inspired by a time that I met an elderly woman who was about 86 years old who knocked on my door one day in the middle of the night because she had escaped from her retirement home and was kind of lost and confused. And, you know, I didn't go on a road trip with her. It would have been cool if I did, but I didn't. But we did, like, have some tea and cookies and talk about the Great Depression and stuff. And she was really, really sweet. And I just thought about, like, you know, there's stories there when we connect with people randomly in ways that we don't expect. So that's kind of what inspired this. I am really excited to release this in 2 weeks. My launch party live stream is now available that you can set a reminder for it. So on Friday, May 15th at 11 a.m. Central, I am going to be hosting a launch party live stream for this book. I am currently in the process of planning activities and fun things that we will do during the live stream so that it can be a party and we can have a good time. We will celebrate the launch of this book right here on this channel, Savvy Writes Books. I hope that you guys enjoy the book. If you're interested in pre-ordering, check out the links in the description below. And I hope that if you are doing any types of OwnVoices, mental health reading, and any kind of mental health-a-thon, then maybe you'll consider adding this one to your TBR, and I hope you guys enjoy it, if so. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. And I hope you guys enjoy it, if so. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Happy reading and writing, everyone!